ACC officials once again showed their incompetence on Saturday when the Noles took on Georgia Tech. So for the second time this season, we're here to call them out on it and try to hold them accountable for being, well, awful. Hey guys, thanks for taking just a minute and watching this. Thanks for coming to the channel. I am TJ Pittenger. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button down below. It helps the channel tremendously and it helps the YouTube algorithm and feeds this into other people's feeds. So if you enjoy the content and you think others might, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the content and just want to make other people subjected to the same thing you had to go through, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Comment below with your thoughts. I'm very happy to chat through and talk about any of them. I want to say this as a preface on the front end. We did this after the NC State game, and we got a little bit of negative feedback. The positive certainly outweighed the negative. Got a little negative feedback of people saying that we were only blaming the refs, or that we, you lose a game and all you want to do is blame the refs, and that just wasn't the case at all. We spent 30 minutes on a podcast the day after NC State, basically blaming everybody in the world, from Mike Norvell to Jordan Travis to the offense to the defense to the special teams to the punter, and anyone else we could find to blame. And then we did do a video talking about some of the reffing inconsistencies that we thought existed in that game. Granted, whenever you do that after a loss, people are going to be upset. But I wanted to take a look at this game too, because even in a win, refs, just like coaches, players, fans, whomever, need to be held accountable for mistakes. And even in this one, we saw something a little bit different where ESPN a couple of times called out the officials. So we'll look at a couple of calls. Again, much rather do this after a win. That way it didn't impact the result of the game. But a ton of penalties called on Saturday, and want to look at a few plays with you guys. First one up today was one that they did go to replay. They did end up getting right, but I don't know how the referee missed this. It's the Toa Philly touchdown to the very end of the first quarter. You can see it kind of in live time. Toa Philly dives for the end zone, touches the pylon, the ball comes out. It had already crossed. They said he's down about a yard short. Again, they show a few replays on ESPN. The announcers are pretty much saying the same thing. Don't know how they missed this. You can see kind of when you piece both angles together that Toa Philly clearly extended, clearly dove for that pylon and touched it before he went down. That's probably the most definitive angle. It's not even a very good angle, but it is. Not sure how that's missed, but they did fortunately get it right. It just, again, kind of comes down to how bad these ACC officials are, that they're missing pretty obvious things like that Toa Philly touchdown. This is the one that ESPN called out and was really rather frustrating. It's the Johnny Wilson OPI on the Cam McDonald play. Cam McDonald catches a beautiful ball on a wheel route, gets out of bounds at the 3-yard line, and they come back and they call an OPI on it. Look at it here. Johnny Wilson runs an in route toward the sideline, and because McDonald's guy is trailing and trying to cut McDonald off at the point of attack, he runs right into Wilson, who is just running his route. I don't think Wilson was going for any kind of a pick here at all. Runs right into Wilson. They end up calling a flag. And listen to what the ESPN announcer had to say here.
Terrible call.
They're calling that a pick, basically, saying Wilson picked the defender?
Yeah, it's not.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's an awful call. First of all, Johnny Wilson's not even looking at the defender. He tries to dip and avoid him. And, just a good rub route.
Frustrating for a big play to be taken off the board there. Fortunately for the Noles, the very next play, they throw the ball up to Toa Philly on a wheel route the other way, and they score a touchdown to go up 21-3. This onside kick, I think, was the right call. I will say the ESPN announcer still questioned it and still asked about why it wasn't at least looked at least quickly reviewed. When they show the replay here, again, I don't think this is the best angle, and ESPN's angles on Saturday just weren't very good in general. But I think there's a slight chance that this ball did get touched right before it got to the 10-yard line. As you can see there, it's right on the line, and you really just can't see because of the angle, but it looks like it's probably closer to behind the line. It might be touching it, but we don't have the angle straight down the line. I think this was at least worth a replay. They probably got it right, but the ESPN announcer sure seemed like he thought they should have replayed it as well. It was close enough to where I thought that they could have taken a look there. May not have impacted anything, but I thought they could have taken a look. We don't have a great angle of, but I thought this was way more of a pick play than the Florida State one. Georgia Tech scores on this 3rd and 13 from 32 yards out. Here you can see the Georgia Tech defender, and I will zoom in on him, go straight into Jamie Robinson and start to block him down the field as the other Georgia Tech receiver springs wide open, the one that Robinson had his eyes on, springs wide open for the easy throw and catch. Georgia Tech ends up scoring their first touchdown of the game to cut this score to 24-10. This was way more of a pick play than the earlier play to Johnny Wilson, and I'm not sure how you call one earlier in the game that clearly wasn't a pick play, and this one, which was, like I said, way more of a pick play than the other. But ACC officials sometimes miss pretty obvious things. We mentioned that with the Toa Philly touchdown, and we mentioned it here as well. Last one that I have, again, I know you can call holding on every single play. This was a pretty crucial 4th and 3. I really thought that they blew this one. I didn't think this was good at all. McClendon coming off the edge here on this 4th and 3. We'll zoom in so you can see it just in case you missed it. But the right tackle clearly has a hold of his shoulder pad as he's trying to get to the defender. McClendon raises his arms, tries to get a finger on the ball, a tip to the ball, is not able to. Georgia Tech converts on the 4th and 3, doesn't end up scoring on this drive. Again, I don't think many of these plays that we've looked at have impacted scoring. Certainly the pick play by them did. I don't think the outcome of the game is different, obviously, and I don't even think the score is too much different, but pretty obvious call right here in front of a couple of officials where McClendon's jersey is clearly being held on the shoulder pad and no call is made. Again, I know you can call holding on every single play, but on a 4th and 3, for that to be the reason the pass has gotten off, a little bit frustrating. I don't think the Noles' defense was as bad as people think it was, because they probably should have gotten the stop on that 4th and 3 there if that holding had been called, and they certainly should have got the stop on the 3rd and 12 where there should have been an offensive pass interference on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. At the end of the day, impact of the game was not any different. The Noles were going to win this, and we're going to win it big. But I think this is a consistent theme that we see week after week after week with ACC officials. They're not very good. They're not very consistent. They're some of the worst in the country. I know that you look at the other major conferences, this is not an issue in the SEC. It's not an issue in the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the Big 12. ACC officials are consistently the worst. The faster that Florida State can find a way to get out of this conference and Michael Alford can find a way to get us somewhere else is probably better for the Noles because ACC officials just continue to screw Florida State. It's not just Florida State. I will say that ACC officials are bad overall time and time again. But as you can see, these were some big plays on Saturday. Thankfully, it wasn't a super close game because there were a lot of points that this could have impacted. Nearly took a touchdown away from Cam McDonald. Thankfully, the Noles scored on the next play. You gave a touchdown to Georgia Tech on that missed OPI call. Just those two alone right there are 14 points, a 14-point swing. You're not going to win a lot of games by more than 14. In fact, your next three of your next four, you're probably going to not win by as many as 14. And so you would hope that you don't have as many games like this where you have 14-point swings thanks to refereeing and officiating that's not very good. But we'll see. We'll see how it looks down the stretch, what the Noles are able to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, I don't think this was the worst officiated game of all time, but some really, really big missed calls and blown calls and made-up calls by the officials again, which has been a pretty consistent theme this year. I'm TJ Pittenger for Double Fries No Slaw. Make sure you are subscribed below. We'll keep doing these. We'll keep doing the series on this as bad officiating continues. And yeah, that seems to be a weekly thing. So stay tuned. Thank you for hanging out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll talk to you guys soon. Go Noles.